As Gen X women, we are exhausted, and it's not because we're failing at our self-care. I think it's because we've actually been screwed over all of our lives. And today I want to talk about it, and I'm going to lay out some brutal truths, some data and some evidence as well. Trust me, I'm a journalist. I'm sorry. And one of the things I'm going to tell you about, you're going to be so furious because nobody else is talking about it. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I know you have too. And at the end, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I'm stopping myself being so totally fried. Let's get into it. It all starts with our childhood. Your Generation X, of course, if you were born between 1965 and 1980. And let's face it, we were the generation who were forced into being self-sufficient. We were called the Latchkey kids. The key for the door was around our necks so that we could let ourselves into home after school. And you'd go home to an empty house, you'd make your own dinner, you'd make your own tea, whatever you want to call it. In the UK, I seem to remember there was a TV show made about it. And the house was empty at 4 p.m. because Gen X was actually the first generation where both parents in the main were out of work and there was nothing really in place for what happened between 3:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening. And I promised you some evidence. As a journalist, I love a bit of data. In 2004, a study said that Gen X were the least parented and least nurtured generation in history. And counsellors say that what that upbringing has turned us into are people who are afraid of asking for help, perfectionists, afraid of relying on anyone, being burned out. It's all documented. So because we became really ultra independent, extremely capable, maybe even loners. If that rings a bell with you, let me know in the comments. I'm really interested because I feel a bit of that. You know, I feel like I should be doing everything myself, right? And I've only just realised that there's a flip side in that upbringing really was training us for carrying a lot of things alone, which isn't great. It hasn't helped us at all, hence the exhaustion, right? So you're not alone. And then after being lumbered with the latchkey trauma, the second truth about why Gen X women are totally exhausted is the lie we were sold on top of the exhaustion, like the have it all lie. I blame Ally McBeal. And I also blame Carrie Bradshaw. Gen X women, we came of age in the 90s and we watched these glossy TV shows. The girls had it all. Power suits, great jobs, dazzling social life, men. And it was hammered into us. You can have it all. You should have it all. Equality is waiting for us in the workplace with open arms. And I watched those shows and I was thinking, that's going to be me. I'm going to graduate from uni. I'm going to get a highly paid job, the heels, the power suit, the shoulder pads, all the rest of it. I believed it. And I'm not ashamed to say I tried and I failed miserably to create that life for myself in my 20s. But it was all a lie, and there are figures to back it up. The UK pay gap for women in their 50s is over 12%. Women in their 20s, 1%. And in America, women working full-time are paid 81 cents to a man's dollar. So the same pattern, whichever side of the Atlantic you look at, right? The gap doesn't close. It actually followed us, which kind of proves that we could not have it all. We ended up doing it all, the job, the household, aging parents, like a big mental load, and bowing down to mothers, because I don't have kids, but you did every bit of that. Plus you did the school runs, you did the sick days, you did the homework battles. Huge respect, and not denying the love that you poured into your kids and the love they gave you. Economists have even named what it actually cost you, like the motherhood penalty. And that's another huge driver of the pay gap. And if you are still doing it all, as a woman in your 50s, as a Gen X woman, you can put it down. All the extra bits that people shoved on you that you never wanted, they were never yours to carry. So hand them back, or better still, drop them. Now, this next truth about why Gen X women are thoroughly exhausted is huge, and I really don't think anybody else talks about it that much, and it makes me so mad because I'm feeling it every day. There was no such thing as digital when we were kids. Listen, you'd walk to a phone box to call somebody. In the UK, we had 3 TV channels and no remote control, and for computers, they were kind of for the rich who had a lot of room on their desk. And as Gen Xers, we have had to completely rewire our brains continually around some of the biggest technological shifts in human history, one after another. Internet, pages, mobiles, texting, smartphones, internet on the smartphones, social media, apps, algorithms, and now AI, all compressed into like 30 to 40 years. It is ridiculous. We've got digital whiplash. I went from learning how to type on a typewriter in my teens to filming YouTube content in my living room. Like on my iPhone, and my brain is still catching up. Who says I'm doing it properly anyway? But anyway, but like boomers were on the sidelines, and the millennials and the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, they are brought up in this technology. They're what people call the digital natives. But like nobody's ever acknowledged what bridging that gap took out of us as Gen Xers, and scientists name this impact techno stress, and a range of studies link techno stress directly to exhaustion, with one huge study saying it drains well-being precisely because it burns you out at work. So if you stop trying to keep pace, it's not failing. I'm with you. Continual forced adaptation has actually fried our brains, and it's a scientific and experiential fact. The ironic twist is we're now watching people half our age quit their jobs, build online businesses, and not kind of work from anywhere, like be digital nomads. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, that's an option. And that's exactly what I'm realising too, that it's not too late for any of us to do those things as Gen X women. The window of opportunity was never shut to us. I just think that techno stress shocked us into looking the other way and ignoring it. And the last brutal truth that really tries to finish us off as Gen X women with exhaustion, you know what it is, it's perimenopause and menopause. And what is really infuriating is that we had very little information. We came into it really blind. The medical establishment still struggles to acknowledge it, doesn't really know what to do with us, still doesn't fully understand it. It's only just coming of age now. And what happens when we hit our 40s? We know it, the avalanche of the brain fog, the memory gaps, the confidence loss, it's walked out the door, the sleep, whatever, insomnia, erratic moods. We feel like we're losing our minds. And doctors often treat us for depression instead of going, well, could this be menopause? And then you've got the impact of the flawed data around HRT and its relationships to cancer, particularly for women who've never had cancer before. And that stopped millions and millions and millions of women worldwide taking HRT. And how it hit me as a journalist, menopause stole my agility live on air. I deal with breaking news, also have lots of comebacks and quips from my colleagues. And I'd reach for the words and I'd hear, and I was wondering if something was wrong with my brain. I wasn't losing my mind. My brain was just rewiring. And what we don't get told, with the help of medical information and attention, we can feel whole again, but instead we keep soldiering on at massive cost. Here's another little bit of data. The Fawcett Society found 1 in 10 British women had left a job over menopause symptoms, and that stat is crazy. And on top of that, of the women who took sick leave, nearly 40% put anxiety or depression on the sick note, rather than admit it was menopause. I was wondering why menopause is last on the list. And, we're often made to feel that menopause creates exhaustion, but it's just added and turned up the volume onto everything else that's going on with us, with devastating effects. Now, I did say there was one thing I was going to get to, because there were years where I said yes to everything. People pleaser, yes, me, every shift, longer hours. And then I couldn't sleep at night because I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why did I say yes? I'd wake up again. I'd keep doing it. And for me, I thought that was how you showed capability. And on top of that, nobody noticed, because the more capable you look, like the less help you're offered. So you're creating a rod for your own back. And you don't have to be the person who handles everything. If you keep doing that, you might be hiding just how seriously exhausted and sick you are. And then what? And if any of this hit home, please let me know in the comments, because I do read and reply to everyone. And in terms of my exhaustion, like monumental shifts for the better really came down to 3 things: mood, food and movement. And if you want to know exactly how, I made a whole video on that. So go over there, check it out. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.